So, guys, in this show, we're going to be talking about, again, everything New England related. And one of the ideas, something that we've been talking a lot about, is the ultimate New England side-by-side, right? And what is it and what it should be? And what we started talking about is the Pro R. Now, for those of you who are listening that don't ride New England, aren't familiar with it, we do have a width restriction. So even though the Pro R is the nastiest machine on the market right now, we can't ride them.
Yeah.
Right? We can't ride them in the trail systems because our gates to get into the trail systems are, we're supposed to be riding 64-inch machines.
Yeah, the legal limit is 64 inches, but back when Polaris first announced the Turbo S model, and I said, dude, that thing's so nasty. Okay, let's see if it fits.
Yep.
We got a Turbo S and we brought it up there, and, you know, hopefully no one's listening because they'll get a little upset.
Yeah.
But,
well, so a 72-inch machine, you got to get real skinny and you got to fit through
get
the
skinny,
gates.
man. I mean,
that's also our motto.
You get skinny. Literally, just spit on the tires. Like they both hit. You hit both sides on the way in, but as long as you make it through, then you're allowed there.
But if you have a 64-inch Pro XP, you know, depending on your wheel and tire package with offset, you're probably going to be somewhere around 68, you know, maybe 69, somewhere around there, and you will get in. A lot of people see my machine with my method wheels, and it's just a 64-inch Pro XP with method wheels and some X-Comp Gladiators, and people think it's too wide. And no, I mean, we get in no problem. So the gates aren't 64 inches, and rightfully so, because again, depending on your wheel and tire package, you should be able to get in with a Pro XP.
Yeah, and that's ultimately that's hurt us with the Turbo S, you know, not being able to go with certain wheels and tires because any offset whatsoever would just screw us. I mean, a wheel with any offset, there's no way we fit in the gates up there.
So those are the rules right now. We can't change them. So a Pro R, which is a 74-inch machine, correct, is not going to fit. There's no way. No matter what wheel and tire package you go with, a Pro R is not going to fit in. But again, proven to be one of the nastiest machines on the market right now, if not the nastiest. And especially with what guys are doing, throwing turbos on the NA motor, 4-cylinder. We're seeing the videos come out, and they're really nice. Now,
I want one so bad.
I think a 64-inch machine with that Pro R power plant, it will be the ultimate New England machine.
100%.
Should Polaris do it?
100%. I don't know why they haven't done it already.
Is it coming out soon?
I don't know, man. I don't know. There's a lot of speculation. You know, one thing that they're talking about is maybe a new General with a cab enclosure with heat and AC. I'm a little salty about it because, as you know, I just bought the Ranger, the North Star. And, it is what it is. But, I mean, so far, I've heard nothing but good things about that, about the Pro R. You know, I've never seen one. I saw what was it? Because again, you don't see them up here because dealerships don't order them. They don't get shipped up here because they're just too big of a machine. I did see a Turbo R, which is a 74-inch machine that was actually, it landed at a dealership up here locally, and it was supposed to go somewhere else. It was supposed to be on a truck to Arizona. Somehow it ended up here. Yeah, and they had it.
Jericho had it.
Yeah, yep. And I mean, it's a freaking awesome machine. I mean, when you look at the way that those new machines are built, the control arms, you know, the radius rod, just the trailing arm, the beefiness of those freaking machines is just it changed the game. You know, and Polaris changed the game with being the first UTV to offer an inline 4-cylinder engine, making 225 horsepower naturally aspirated. Yep. So that's like a whole new realm, you know. And I'm pretty sure that the development from that came after the Slingshot, because those guys that are familiar with Polaris, the Polaris Slingshot, the on-road, the motorcycle. That had a GM 4-cylinder for a really long time. And then I think it was like 2020 or 2021, they switched over from that GM 4-cylinder to their own ProStar engine, their own Polaris 4-cylinder. And they had a lot of success with it in the Slingshot, and then they kind of transitioned it into the UTV line. So a lot of power, man. I mean... So a lot of power, which is obviously what we like, because we love that. But what about somebody who says too much power for New England? Oh, you're talking to the wrong guy.
You're talking to the wrong guy.
What is it? Is there such thing as too much power? No, there's absolutely not. You know, I mean,
is there a market for it?
I think there's 100% a market for it.
Yeah, you think most people are going to be footing the bill for a?
People want. I mean, you know, I'll talk about a Denali truck, for example, right? Like there are a million trim options when you buy a GMC vehicle, but the ultimate trim level is the Denali, and it's also ultimately the #1 selling trim package for GM.
Yep.
Is, it's that Denali package. So the point I'm trying to make is that, people want the biggest, the baddest, and the best. I would love nothing more. I wanted to buy a Pro R the second they announced it,
Yeah.
but I just knew that there was no way it's going to fit in the trails up here. So it sucks. It sucks not having the biggest, baddest machine. When you look at the Pro R or the Turbo R versus the Pro XP, looking at the suspension components, it's night and day difference.
It is.
Like I said, the Pro R and the Turbo R are just like, they're built so well. They look to be built.
Yeah,
like
it's the
beefy
evolution.
machines.
It's the next level in the side-by-side game.
Yeah.
I think it's without saying, I mean, we would 100% have a Pro R here in the Dirt X stable if it was a 64-inch machine.
100%.
It would be here. You know what I mean?
100%.
We would be ripping it through all the New England trails, Maine, New Hampshire, everything like that.
Well, the other thing too is 64-inch has been kind of like the standard for the bigger machines for a while. But like the Honda Talon, I believe, like they make like a 68-inch version or something.
Mm-hmm.
So a lot of manufacturers are trying to tailor the machines to the trail system. If you live out west, not all that shit goes right out the window because everything you're talking wide open. Arizona, the deserts, Utah. There's all kinds of really great riding out there where width really isn't an issue. You know?
You don't have that restriction, and that's something that we have. I mean, so do you think it's possible, or do you think to open up the sport and to get more coming in? Do you think we should open those gates up?
So the reason why we have the gates and the reason why we have the restrictions is predominantly because the bigger the vehicle, the more damage that it will cause to the trail system. That's their thought process.
And the width of the trails.
Exactly.
Right?
The trails are only so big; they can only fit machines that are so wide. And if machines get too wide, they're not going to fit. You have to cut the trails open more. So I understand why they do it, and I feel like a big reason why they put a restriction on it is because they just want them open to ATVs and side by sides.
Yeah.
And when you start getting beyond that 64-inch gate, you open the door and the possibility for Jeeps, for other people with bigger off-road trucks to try to get out there. And it's a UTV and a snowmobile trail system, so we want to keep UTVs, dirt bikes, four-wheelers, things like that on those trails, and we want to keep some of those other vehicles off. Because again, they're just too big. If you're if you got a pickup truck and you're driving through some of the trails up here, and someone comes around the corner at 60 miles an hour, like it's a recipe for disaster. So, don't quote me. I don't think that the legal limit was always 64. I think that it started a little bit smaller, and I believe they opened it up to 64 because that was kind of the way the market was going.
Kind of the standard.
Yeah, manufacturers were starting to build bigger, better machines. So, I definitely think that they should be open. I don't know how we do that. I don't know.
How about this? A lot of companies are doing long travel kits for your side by sides, whether it's the RZRs, the Pro XPs. Should companies start doing, short travel kits or 64-inch kits? Because what if a company had, a 64-inch kit for a Pro R, and it made sense? And I mean, would we have a Pro R in the stable?
I mean, I'm sure that exists. I mean, I haven't really looked for it.
I kind of have, and I haven't seen anything.
Really?
So guys, if it does exist, go ahead, drop a comment, let us know, because I'd be very interested in seeing it.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure there is. The only shitty part is, the Pro R itself is such an expensive machine. Excuse me, you're paying for all that engineering, you're paying for all that stuff, and to buy, usually when you spend $5, $6, $7, $8 on wheels, tires, in a long travel kit, you're spending that money to get better performance.
Yeah.
You want to have stronger stuff. You want to be wider and more stable. So the idea of having to spend all that money now to shrink the machine, I mean, it is what it is. I think the best thing would be if Polaris would just, again, make a 64-inch version.
Yeah.
Just right out of the box.
Yep.
Or close to 64. If it has to go a little bit bigger, if they, because the way it's set up, the geometry of it, if it had to be 68, make it 68, and then at least give us the option, the option to own it and make it wider with wider wheels and tires, or a different offset of the rim. But if it existed, I would pre-order it today.
Yeah. 100%.